Welcome back to the Checkmk channel. Today we're looking at host and service groups. The concept of host and service groups is pretty straightforward. You can simply bundle host and services together and then give it a name. While operating your monitoring system, you can then perform actions on an entire group instead of having to apply the same action over and over again on each individual host. So for the management of these host and service groups, you go to Setup, and then under Host you have Host Groups, and under Services you have Service Groups. So if I click on Host Groups, see there currently are no groups, but if you want to toggle fast to Service Groups, under Related there is an option Service Groups, so here you can toggle between the two. Okay, so now let's add our first group. Okay, we first need to give it a handle or an ID, and I will call this one prod. And then the alias will be production systems. Okay, now we save this one. And let's quickly create a second one, which is called test, and it will be test systems. So what you need to know is that one host can be part of multiple groups. In this example, we have production systems and test systems, so a host will probably not be in both systems at the same time. But if you, for example, have another group called web servers, then a host could be in the production group and be in that new group called web servers. Okay, so now we need to assign hosts to these groups. And in Checkmk that is done using rules. So you have this button here called rules. If you click on it, we can simply create a new rule. And you see the rule is called assignment of hosts to host groups. Okay, so let's create one. Now we select the group that we want to assign the host to. It's already pre-selected now, production systems, that's fine. And now we need to set the conditions. So when is a host being assigned to this group? We can use a host tag for that. There is one called criticality here. Let's add that one. So we want to add the host to the group when the criticality is production system. These are predefined criticalities in Checkmk. So that looks about right. Let's save it. And I do the same thing for our test group. So let's create another one. We assign them to the test systems, and again the host tag criticality, and this time it has to be test system. This is of course a very simple example where the group name is pretty much the same as the host tag. In practice you will probably have more complex rules to assign hosts to groups. And that's why groups are useful to use alongside host tags. Now let's take a look at the rules. You'll see that when the criticality is production system, we will assign them to the production systems group. And the same goes for test systems. Then we assign them to the test systems group. Now the only thing left to do is activate the changes as always. So let's click here. And now all our hosts should be assigned to the correct group. So let's take a look. And you can find that here under Monitor, and then Overview and Host Groups. So here you have an overview of all our host groups. You'll see that there are 6 hosts in this group. You also can see the amount of services here and their status, so warning, crit, OK, etc. So now the question is, where is our test systems group? Well, it appears that it's empty, and that's because none of the hosts meet the conditions that we set on the rule. So whenever a group is empty, it will not show up in this host groups overview. So let's fix this, and we can do that simply by giving one or more hosts the criticality test system. So we go to the setup of our hosts, so setup hosts, And let's give these 2. So just check the boxes so we can edit the attribute at the same time. And now let's go to hosts and then edit attribute. Okay, so we can change the criticality, and you can do that here. You can explicitly set it to something, and we're going to explicitly set it to test system. Okay, then we simply save and obviously activate the changes. And now if we go back to monitor and our host groups, you'll see that there is now a test systems group with the 2 hosts that we just gave the new criticality. And you can do the same with services. So once again, go to setup, and then under services, go to service groups. And now let's add one, so add group, and we'll call this one CPU, and the alias should be CPU. Okay, save. Just like with host groups, there are rules. So now let's set the rule for this service group. Now this time we don't care about properties of the individual host. We just going to assign services that start with the string CPU. So every service starting with CPU should be part of this group. Okay, now save it. And as always, apply changes. And to view the service groups, once again, go to monitor and then here to service groups. And now you see we have a group called CPU with 9 services in it. When you click on a service group, you'll see an overview of all the services grouped underneath their host. Like you can see, this can create a very clear overview of all services and hosts that share specific properties. And as you will see in the next episode, you can also use these host and service groups in our quick search to search for very specific hosts and services. So that was our introduction into host and service groups. You can of course do a lot more with these groups, and if you want to learn more, you can take a look at our documentation on docs.checkmk.com. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. See you next time.